What's the most schizo conspiracy related to video games that you actually believe?
Actually believe. Now, I'm sure there's going to be stuff in this thread that we cannot post.
Yeah.
Because honestly, X is really out there and I don't want to get banned. But I do find game conspiracies really fascinating. Game creepypastas like the Legend of Zelda one.
Yeah.
Like, that's an old classic and I think everyone kind of loved it whenever it came out. But this is a topic that I find really interesting and let's just get into it, will we?
It's not a conspiracy theory, yet. But something that baffles me about video games is the stigma surrounding nudity. Killing, torturing, enslaving, stealing, blah blah blah. All kinds of criminal and evil things are standard, and don't raise a single eyebrow. But if you have genitalia on a character, then all of a sudden it's an outrage. What the fuck is wrong with you? Freak, sicko, incel, weirdo? Inquire about a nude mod anywhere and mockery, derision and insults fly at you. A million holier-than-thou white knights appear to question why you'd want such a horrifying and disgusting feature in a game if you even mention it. I like my games to be realistic. If a character is naked for whatever reason, it should have all the right bits. I'm not even a virgin incel coomer type. I just have a bit of an OCD about incomplete things. If my character is so detailed it has toes, teeth and earlobes, then it should have nipples and genitals too. It'd be like a car in a driving game not having an engine. In normal situations, you don't usually see that bit, but if you do see it, and it's not there, that would annoy me too.
I don't know. You know what that is? I think that's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
I think what it boils down to with that one, I think that's more, people are more than okay with talking about war, disease, death, famine, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Or even, like, you know, touched on lightly, I think, slavery and other stuff in that category. Like, yeah, you know, maybe it's not for everyone. But nudity, I believe that's more of a cultural thing than anything.
Yeah.
Although I do question anyone that really does want it because, look, guys, the internet's full of fucking cumbers.
Just because I don't see the problem with it in games, but it comes back to that thing, you know, kids play video games, but yet again, you should be kind of watching what games your kids are playing.
Oh yeah, most definitely. You know, most definitely.
You're not going to let a 5-year-old sit and take prostitutes on GTA, you know. Not really schizo-conspiracy, because it's more of a ham-fisted psyops, but Final Fantasy, what one is that?
15, I believe.
I'm shite with Roman numerals, was totally gay balls, with each party member representing one of the 4 major archetypes of gay boy. 1. Royal emo goth. 2. Bull shark testosterone power top. 3. Sophisticated intellectual motherly. And 4. Twinkie photographer power bottom. Worse then, they put Hillary Rodham Clinton in the game as president, as though the game was meant to blue pill young voters into more likely to vote for Hillary in 2016. Except everyone was like, ew, she's in our video game now, I'll never vote for her. Final Fantasy 15 forced blue pills and everyone popped red pills in response.
You know, I think
they forget that. Well, the ones I know who play Final Fantasy 15 don't tend to go on the liberal side of things.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. I don't know why that is.
Well, Final Fantasy in general, not just 15.
Yeah, one of the ones I find really interesting was a few years back, I think it was the 2008 American election, there was a new Halo game, and for some reason, that Halo game came out on election day, and, you know, it really does make me feel an awful lot like, you know, whenever back in, like, you know, the day, like 1800s, they would send the poor people off to the circus or the fair or try and distract them in some weird shape or form. Would you be shocked if they still do that to this day? But
no, sure, we know about, like, not even games, we know about, like, them having, you know, major celebrity news happen, like, near elections or to mask stuff. Like, sure, whenever, was it when 9/11 happened? Britney Spears broke up with Justin Timberlake or something. Yeah,
and then 2 days before that...
and she was like, trust my president, I trust George W. Bush, I trust my in the interview.
Yeah, like, that was really bizarre, weird. So it was... Oh, no, and then there was another one, but I don't know if I can talk about it on YouTube, about the government lost a ton of money just 2 days before, and where they were inquiring about it in the Pentagon, suddenly things happen at the Pentagon.
There was one... I can't remember what it was, but I think there was a shooting in New York. This wasn't all that long ago, it was a couple of years ago, but something happened then. I can't remember what it was, but everybody was like, no, this is try and cover up this. I can't remember what. I'm sure people in the comments would remember what it was.
I don't know. A lot of people go into, though, that they're staged or planned. I don't know about any of that type of stuff, and I don't really want to speculate about it on YouTube of all places. But I definitely would buy into major news organizations would, if something else happens, oh no, we're going to talk about that instead of that. You know, it's not like they're directly covering it up. It's just, it's not getting the same coverage, and they're trying to...
Kylie Jenner's ass exploded?
Oh, yeah, they're perfect. That's why you need them.
Yeah. Ocarina of Time is crammed full of religious symbolism and architectural motifs, such as in the Fire Temple, the room where you get the Megaton hammer is based entirely upon the Tower of Silence. Zoroastrians used to bury their dead. Pick related.
Okay, I'm not enough of a skeptic.
I remember reading about this. Yeah. A religion that had genuine fire temples. We watched a documentary on that.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, we did. The Spirit Temple is clearly based on ancient Egypt, yet holds more accurate representations of such Egyptian religion symbolism that most people would know. The Water Temple is a metaphorical brain, upside down, and the three main sections of the temple correlate with the three main areas of the brain and their general functions and purpose. First floor, including the small basement area, is the forebrain, planning and the like. Second floor is the midbrain, reflective action. Third floor is the hindbrain, controlled action. The tasks you perform on each of these floors match up predominantly with these particular functions of the brain they represent, with the central pillar being representative of the brainstem. Of the four elements, water is by far the most associated with the brain. Fire is the heart, so make of that what you will. The Forest Temple is a combination of earth and air, wind, and the Spirit Temple, it adopted certain motifs from the scrapped Light Temple, and Shadow Temple is about moral choice. The first three temples corral you into going to the forest, fire, then water, but with Shadow and Spirit you have a choice. There's a lot more to all this, of course. But probably going to reach the bump limits, and there's definitely some strange things going on in Nintendo, though I wouldn't say nefarious.
Well, okay, one of the things I find really interesting, and I suppose it does link into this, is I believe all stories are just retellings of the same story again and again and again.
Yeah.
And I believe there's something very primal in the human brain, like maybe about the two brothers that hate each other, like Cain and Abel, or you could say to a more modern one, like Marvel with like Thor and Loki, and that motif, and you get that a lot. I do definitely buy into the idea that to create brilliant art, you need to subconsciously be able to tell these stories that are deep within our monkey brains. Yeah. If that makes any strange sense. And I think having...
Look at all of Disney, it's basically the same story over and over and over again.
But it works and kids love that and they all understand it so easily. Yeah. Like, ask any 5-year-old what happened in the Disney movie. They can tell you. Yeah. And they understand and they might not be able to word it very well or be able to even...
But they understand it.
But they get the core message that's being put through.
I don't think there's anything strange going on Nintendo.
No.
I think... I don't know what I think.
Well, Nintendo is very good. They're the only games company, I believe, at the minute that's truly innovating still. Yeah. And they've only been innovating, and they've only...
And what's up with Nintendo is that they're able to stretch from young to old.
Yeah.
Like, my 5-year-old nephew loves Nintendo.
Yeah.
But my mother also loves Nintendo.
Yeah, it's strange how that works, but again, that's kind of like a Disney element. Yeah. Some things just work for all ages,
Psst. Hey, lean in closer. This is fucking ASMR channel now. You know it's pretty fucking based. Titties. Go see titties. Lots of titties.
All the titties.
Go over to the website, check out all the models. You guys know the score. We have some really nice looking models over there. And we have a lot of...
sci-fi gothic?
Yeah.
Let's call them sci-fi gothic.
And if models isn't your shit, we have loads of subclasses and we keep adding them every other week or so. We add a lot.
We got a lot.
We've got big brains. We add shit. But yes, go over to the website, check out everything. If you haven't subscribed, what the fuck you doing? Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell as well, and let's get back to the video. Every week we're going to be doing a giveaway of the new pinup model of the month, or if models isn't your thing, all of our homebrew content. If you want to be in with a chance to win the giveaway, all you need to do is subscribe. That's it. Hit the subscribe button. That's it.
Do it now.
But last week's winner was this guy. Well done! Yay! Round of applause. Everybody stands up and claps. But enough of that. Let's get back to the video. Video games are the modern equivalent to the Roman Colosseum games. Seeing the boom of Japanese titles entering the market in the 90s, interested private and government parties subsidised and fast-tracked the growth of American developers. This seems normal. As with any craze that comes along, investors want it in. But the purpose wasn't just to create a product. It was to develop a new addiction. It was in the 6th generation consoles, PS2, Xbox and PS games, of the period in particular, that the delivery method for games began to change. Instead of releasing a fixed product, then a sequel, PC games began pushing expansion packs, which added new content to existing games. Online play and map packs began appearing on consoles. Once there was enough data to show consumers were receptive to this practice, all subsequent hardware was explicitly designed around it. Now, you don't buy a game, play it for a couple of months, then buy another. Now you buy a game, play it for half a year, competing with other players to stroke your ego, then eagerly await expansions, which are now shrunk down into bite-sized DLC installments. This extends the life of every game by keeping it novel for longer and demanding more of the player's time and attention. Why? Profit for one, but it's also a method of keeping the proletariat masses in place. Video games are a working class hobby, which gives people a sense of satisfaction they would otherwise need to chase by starting a business or pursuing an art form, or some other use of time that could affect public consciousness. With fewer individuals trying to get a piece of the pie, larger corporations, who make loads of money through investments in ventures like video game development, have an easier time monopolising the entertainment industry and suppressing dissidents.
That's very interesting, and I don't really want to... Again, it's YouTube, I don't know how much...
Don't come for me for my Sims DLC.
Yeah, Megan's a fucking wheel when it comes to The Sims, and doesn't even feel remotely bad, even though The Sims is probably the worst for DLC ever, and it's always been bad for DLC. I think there is something very interesting here, and I do definitely buy that video games are the equivalent of the Roman Colosseum of games. Okay, now before any of you guys are like, oh, you guys are shitting on video games. No, video games are a lot better than TV. It's a lot more interactive, but the kingpin is definitely going to be board games and role-playing games, because my big problem I have with video games these days is it's not social. The best social, like, you can get, okay, you can talk to people over headset. I want to be in the same room as people.
I prefer video games to board games.
No, not for me.
Maybe it's because me and you play in the same room.
Yeah, well, that's only, but we have a lot more fun playing together, but again, that's because it's more social.
But I also find if I play video games, even just by myself, it's like an unwind time.
Oh yeah.
But like, even if I'm playing COD and it's fucking high strung and all you hear is constantly, like, it's still just time for me to chill out by myself.
Oh yeah, and I think people need that, it is very important. However, what he's getting into, I think, is very interesting. The idea of subduing the masses. It is a very ancient practice that they've been doing for a very long time. What was the saying? You just give them alcohol and they'll be content.
Yeah.
And that's a very interesting way of looking at things, being able to get people to spend their time like, no, you don't want to develop new skills and work on trying to get out of the rut that you're stuck in with your job. You want to come home tired and you want to play video games every day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what you want to do. Yeah, you stay where you are. You're not going to move up and down the ladder. It isn't. A lot
of people come home and have a beer and
play and there's nothing wrong with that, because after a long day of work, what else?
You want to chill out?
Yeah, exactly. You've had a hard day. Why not enjoy yourself?
Yeah.
But I do think there's something very interesting going on there, and I think you brought up some really good points.
Yeah. Many Pokemon, particularly legendaries, are based off various creatures in mythology and occasionally folklore.
That goes without saying, though.
Ranging from deities and various legendary creatures being represented as legendaries, and yokai serving to inspire many, many normal Pokemon.
What's yokai?
Never heard of it.
Animals just?
No idea. With this in mind, most legendary Pokemon represent either primal concepts or specific types of legendary creatures. And there's been lore bait in the series since at least the Gold and Silver games followed by Crystal, with a long-term background plot assumed to exist in which characters the players are familiar with exist in some way. In addition, while the anime is pseudo-famous for Ash aging, the timeline of the game series is somewhat murky, but something can be pried out from it. Assuming that visual and conceptual updates to technology used within the series, such as the many variations on the Pokédex, then the series has gone on for long enough that the first protagonist of the game, Red, looks visibly more akin to a young adult than the protagonists. Other hints for the passage of time exist across many characters. With all that said, let me be clear. The core team who writes Pokemon has made a world in which, among other things, alchemistic imagery of relevant great complexity is used to create an entire region. Sun and Moon. Jewish mythology is utilised to craft a plot dominated by two terrorist groups, Ruby and Sapphire, and the creation of what amounts to false god from a god biomatter, Mewtwo and Mew. All this, mind you, in one universe, unlike most Eastern RPGs which reference mythologies. The reboots of the series do not actually stop the passage of time within the series. Its internal mythology, in other words, is a complex mix of high concepts and with that dabbles into the occult. They will never stop making new Pokemon games, and there will always be this series, crafted by people who are as deep in mythology and history as the people who write Zelda.
Again, I think that goes back to what I was talking about earlier with, I believe, certain stories have overarching themes, kind of like, as we say, they're based off mythology and folklore. Mm-hmm. I believe mythology and folklore are just, it's a way of telling what...
Because they've been told for centuries, you know, it's kind of like Chinese whispers to an extent.
Well, I think it is, but I think they all have the same core message overarching. I find folklore and mythology speak an awful lot, and same with religion, it speaks about what the people like at the time. We all know that Christianity has changed an awful lot since Jesus and before, and that is a representation of the people of the time. You know, you talk to a Christian of today, to a Christian of 100 years ago, they're going to be different. From 200 years ago, again, going to be different. And I think that's what makes stuff like Pokemon. It will be like a timeless sort of
Jesus
feel.
Makes Pokemon.
Well, you know, okay, I'll give you an interesting one. Look at Harry Potter, for instance. Harry Potter has an awful lot of, like, the birth and reborn. Mm-hmm. Is Harry Potter just the 21st century version
Was it Jesus?
Yeah. Is it just the story of...
I'm sure there's some millennials out there that'll tell you that's true.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. But you could also say the same for 40k. Again, with the Emperor... dying to protect humanity. You know, there is a self-sacrifice and, you know, the rebirth and all that type of stuff. It is really interesting, and I think there's an awful lot to that. But I'm too much of a brainlet
to put it into
better context. Yeah. But I think I can kind of, I can feel the idea in my head.
You can feel the threads, but you can't weave it together.
Yes, essentially. Yeah. I'm sure there'll be someone in the comments that'll do a much greater job at what I'm trying to say.
Fortnite is Hyperborea.
And that actually makes sense scarily. okay, let's not use Hyperborea. Let's say it's more like a...
No, let's use Hyperborea because you watching all the schizo videos.
So it's Battle Royale. It's Great Champions.
I've never played Fortnite.
But let's just say, let's give it a Viking twist. So great champions that are fighting each other to be the champion of champions. Mm-hmm. I think you could definitely see that as like a Norse or Germanic or Celtoid sort of afterlife. You know, the idea of like dying in battle is a glorious death and all. It's an interesting view. If it's not entirely schizo.
It's entirely
schizo, but it's still an interesting take, maybe.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we're going to end it. And there was an awful lot more in the thread, but we like keeping our channel on YouTube, so, you know, sorry guys. There's only so much schizo you can talk about on YouTube, and also just because we've talked about these things does not mean we automatically believe these things. We've had this quite a fork with like unpopular opinion videos. It's like, oh my god, you guys are... It's like, just because we're talking about it does not mean we actually agree with them. But I definitely don't think... I think, yeah, there could be something malicious going on with video games. Most definitely. I do think that they can definitely be used in a modern concept of the Romans, just give them bread and they'll be happy. You know, pay off the proletariat and they'll...
I don't know, I'm kind of happy with video games.
Oh yeah, I think video games are great. I definitely don't like the way video games are heading. I don't like
like the whole, like, it's going to get to the point where you pay, like, 80 quid for a game, and you log in, and you can't play it until you download something else.
Yeah, and which is pretty much what it is at the moment. It's really bad, and it's only getting worse. And the worst thing is, because people are willing to pay for it, and that, I think, is what's killing me with video games.
I'm keeping EA alive at this point.
Yeah, you are with Sims DLC. But no, I don't think, like, you know, Legend of Zelda or Pokemon are up to any malicious intent. I do think they are borrowing heavily from mythologies and folklores and religion and stuff like that.
A lot of things do.
But I think that's because there's something in the human monkey caveman brain that just speaks that makes me go ooga booga.
Ooga booga.
Yeah. I don't know. It's an interesting topic. I really want to hear what you guys have to say, or do you guys have any interpretations or any ideas to springboard off this? And if we get enough comments, I would love to actually do a video because I find this topic fascinating.
Yes, well, let us know down below. And while you're down there, check out the links to the website, the subclasses, the models, all that good shit. Hit subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified every time we post a video. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye!